So ChatGPT recently unveiled their GPT store, and here's the blog article. And if you click here, you'll be able to explore and search for all kinds of ChatGPTs. And so here we have Canva, here we have Consensus, here we have another GPT called Sell Me This Pen. And there's lots and lots of ChatGPTs that you can search for and you can find for your specific tasks. Now, what exactly are these GPTs? What exactly are we looking at here? Well, these are custom versions of ChatGPT that combine instructions, extra knowledge, and any combination of skills. And so you can easily create your own ChatGPT to do pretty much anything that you want, and people will be able to find it using this store. Now, all of this is awesome and all, but there's one issue. It's not exactly clear how you would monetize one of these GPTs that you would build for other people to consume. And so let's say I go out and I build an app that does something special, that maybe draws some interesting logos, or that does some research, or writes articles, or writes apps, etc., etc. I would want to charge people something. I would want people to pay me in exchange for my app delivering something that these customers had asked for. And so the ability to monetize these apps would come in really, really handy, and you can even build a business on top of a chat GPT that you have customized and that you have offered to prospective customers. Well, fortunately, there is a really slick way to monetize your chat GPTs, and that way you can have your cake and eat it too. And so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can monetize your custom GPT using an amazing tool called BuildShip. Now, before we get started, as always, all the apps and all the resources that I demonstrate in these videos are going to be available to view and or clone from my Patreon page. And if you're not yet a member of our amazing, rapidly growing Patreon community, then you should definitely check it out via the link below this video. First, let's talk about what these custom GPTs are. So here I am on OpenAI's GPT store, and it's available at chat.openai.com/GPTs. And let's say I am looking for a logo to be made. Okay, so I can simply click on Canva here, and we are going to be redirected to a customized chat GPT that Canva has created, okay? And so here it says effortlessly design anything, presentations, logos, social media posts, and more. And so I can click one of these conversation starters here, and this custom chat GPT that Canva has built is going to walk me through the process. Okay, so now it's asking me, hello, excited to bring your visions to life. Start your creative journey with Canva. Now it's going to ask me something. Okay, what will we be designing together today? And so let's say I want a logo for a gym. Okay, so something like this. I just say a logo for a gym, and now it comes up and says designing a logo. Now it's asking me a bunch of other questions. Okay, so it's having a conversation. And so let's say I just want a logo to be done. So I can say just create a logo. Okay, and now Canva came back to me and it's saying here are some gym logo templates from the Canva template library that might suit your needs. Okay, so I asked Canva to create logos, and Canva is an app, right? It's a website, it's an app, and it came back to me and says, well, I have the logos for you, okay? And that is exactly what these custom GPTs are. They're essentially customized versions of ChatGPT that we all know and love. And you can simply click here and you will be able to create your own custom GPT that does exactly what you want, and they can do pretty much anything, okay? Now, there's one issue here, is that it's not really clear how to monetize these GPTs, because if I go into this Canva custom GPT, well, I can ask it to create a logo, and it's gonna go out and create the logo. It's not asking me for any money. It's not monetizing the service. And that's how many of these GPTs work. They simply ask what you want, you tell it what you want, and they go out and do it for you, whether it's creating a logo, writing an article, etc., etc. However, there is actually a really slick way to monetize a custom GPT that you may want to build in any of the niches. Now, if you head over to buildship.com/blog/stripe your GPTs, you can read this step-by-step tutorial that tells you exactly how you can monetize your chat GPT, your custom chat GPT with Stripe. Now, instead of going over this tutorial with you guys step by step, I'm going to be showing you exactly how you can do it. And it's actually very, very simple and very, very effective. Now, before I show you exactly how you can monetize your chat GPT, I want to show you an overall architecture diagram that will shed more light on this process, because once you understand how all the pieces fit together, everything is going to make a lot more sense. And so here we have a diagram that allows you to monetize your GPT. So this is our monetize your GPT flow. And the first thing that I want to show you is a general chat GPT flow. Okay, so chat GPT is an LLM. It's a large language model. And the value that they add is you can simply chat with them, right? You don't need to click or anything. You don't need to code anything. You can simply ask it what you want, and it will be able to figure out exactly what you want, your intent, and exactly how to fulfill your request. And so in this diagram here, right, with this white background, we are looking at a vanilla chat GPT. So we have a user, he asks a question via the chat GPT UI. You know, the chat GPT UI forwards that question, okay, somewhere else. So the chat GPT engine, this is the logic layer, and this layer here figures out what the user wants. And so this will typically be like a question, okay, write me, you know, a paragraph about this, you know, tell me how many people live in this country. So various questions, various tasks, you name it, anything that ChatGPT can do. This is the overall flow here, right? You have the UI, this is the chat UI, and you simply ask it. And LLM figures out what you want, and it figures out how to give you the right answer. Now, the developers of ChatGPT eventually figured out that ChatGPT does not and cannot know absolutely everything. If you have some file that you wrote yourself or you found on the internet and in some obscure place, well, ChatGPT might not know what this file is about. Okay, so if you ask it questions about this file, it won't be able to answer, okay, because that is a file that maybe you've created or you found it on the internet in some obscure place. Well, ChatGPT may never have seen that file, so as a result, it doesn't know how to answer questions. And the same applies to things such as current events, okay? So if you want to ask ChatGPT about the weather in New York or the weather in Miami right now, or what was the weather yesterday, well, ChatGPT might not have that information. And as a result, ChatGPT allow you to extend a ChatGPT instance with your own unique data. And so you can upload files to it. You can also specify function calls called actions that allow ChatGPT to go somewhere where you tell it in order to get the answer that you're seeking. Okay, so if you have a ChatGPT instance and you wanted to get weather information, weather forecast, things like that, well, it might not be able to do it, but if you tell it where it can get this information via a function definition, a function call interface, it will be happy to execute it and get this data back. And so here you can see various ways that you can extend a vanilla ChatGPT to do something that's unique to your own problem. So you can upload your own documents that ChatGPT will know about and will be able to answer questions about. You can enable internet browsing, okay? So that way ChatGPT can go online and, you know, do its own research. You can also include actions, and that way, you know, you can give it an action that says, okay, get weather. And so if you ask it for weather, it will know, well, I can't tell you weather, but I have an action that can point me to a place that will eventually get the answer that you're seeking. And so there's a bunch of things that you can do in order to extend ChatGPT. And this essentially makes ChatGPT limitless, because if ChatGPT doesn't have the answer or can't complete the task that you're seeking, it doesn't know the answer to your problem, well, you can tell it where to get that answer, and it will be able to figure out how to use the resources that you've supplied to it in order to get the answer that you're seeking. That's how powerful this extension mechanism of ChatGPT is. And so keeping this ability to extend ChatGPTs in mind, we can not only ask a ChatGPT to do something for us, such as generate an image or write an article, but we can also ask it to make sure that it asks the users to pay it after it has generated something. And after the user pays, we can take some further action. And so in this custom GPT that we're going to be building, that's going to perform some kind of a task for a user and then ask the user to pay it, we are going to have two workflows. The first workflow is going to be an action that we will include with our custom GPT. And the purpose of that first workflow would be to generate a custom Stripe payment link so that it can present it to the user. And so the user will send a request to ChatGPT, ChatGPT will complete the request, and then ChatGPT will generate a Stripe payment link that the user can click on and pay for the services rendered. And the second workflow will continuously listen for Stripe events. And so once the user has completed the payment, we are going to get notified that they have paid. And we also will get notified what they paid for, as well as get the user's name, email, address, essentially all the information that they have submitted once they paid for the service. And as a result, we can take the appropriate action. And so once the user has paid for the service, we are going to get notified and we're going to have all the information about the user. And that way we can follow up, send the user a gift, or send the user a high definition version, or do something else more creative, as I'm going to be showing you in just a second. And now let's go ahead and create our custom GPT. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to click create here. Once you do that, you're going to be redirected to a page that looks something like this. Now, there are two ways that you can create your own custom GPT. You can either chat with this GPT builder and tell it exactly what kind of custom GPT that you want to create, or you can configure it manually. Now, I decided to configure it manually because I'm just more comfortable filling out different things. And so I gave it a name called Digital Asset Creator. I gave it a description, and the description and the name is going to show up here, right? So this is what the users are going to see. And I also gave it instructions. Okay, so your job is to turn customer's request into an image and then place it on a t-shirt to create a mock-up. After generating the mock-up, create a payment link so that the customer can purchase the asset. Do not generate the image by itself, only the mock-up of the image on a t-shirt. Now we are being a little clever here. Instead of generating the image right away, we are generating a mock-up of a t-shirt with the image on it. And that way the user can look at a mock-up of a t-shirt with the image and decide if they like how the image looks. And if they do, they can simply pay via the provided payment link. And then later we're going to email them the actual image that we have created. Now, we also have various conversation starters, right? And these conversation starters are going to be displayed here, and you've probably seen them before. It's just a way to get started very, very quickly. And so I have 4 of these here. One is a logo for a software company that makes fitness software. I'd like you to create a brand image for a CrossFit gym, create an art for a teacher who teaches math. I'd like you to create a cover art for a musician. So 4 conversation starters here. Next, we can also upload files that we may want our custom GPT to know about. In this case, there's really no need to upload files. We can also give it various capabilities. So things like web browsing, DALL-E, image generation, and a code interpreter. Now, in this case, we're only interested in image generation. So that's why we have this check. And last but not least, the most important thing of it all is an action, okay? And we need an action because we need to generate a payment link. You know, ChatGPT won't be able to generate a payment link. That is something that needs to be done by an action. And so if you click here, you're going to be seeing an action definition. Now, What exactly is this action and where did I get this definition? Well, for that, you need to go into BuildShip and you need to create your workflow. Once you have created your workflow, you can export it as an action and import it into your custom GPT. So here I have a very, very simple workflow called Stripe checkout link, and it has just 3 nodes. And here we have a REST API call because we need to connect to it, right? And so this is the REST API call. It's create checkout link. Now this REST API call will be triggered via a post request, and there's going to be something that will be sent as part of that request via ChatGPT. Because remember, this whole thing is going to be executed by ChatGPT automatically. And so if you click here and you click on edit, you see that this is the request and we have a body and we have a generated image here, okay? And this is going to be filled in by ChatGPT. So once it generates the image, it will send the ID of the image so that we know exactly what the image is all about. And you're gonna see that when we run our ChatGPT. Now this here is a built-in node that creates a Stripe checkout session and generates a link. And so that way the user can click on the link and the whole thing is going to be filled out automatically, right? So we can specify the unit price. This is $5, by the way, right? So you need to multiply by 100. So 500 is $5, you know, 1,000 is $10. We specify the currency and we also specify, you know, the product name. You can also specify the product image. And here I'm also specifying the metadata, right? So if I click here, I have something called generated image, which is this generated image. And this generated image is going to be the ID of the image that ChatGPT generated. And you're going to see everything in just a second, like I said. And this last node spits out the URL of the Stripe payment link. And so that way the user can see the link, they can click it, they can fill it out, they can pay for the image. And once they pay, we are going to have another workflow that will be triggered automatically. And so this is the second workflow. This is a Stripe listener. And this is a very, very simple workflow. I actually don't really have anything here. This is just a demo. And I'm using a webhook called a Stripe webhook. Okay, so here, this is a general, you know, REST API call that you're kind of used to seeing, but this is a workflow that gets only triggered if there are events in our Stripe account. Okay, so in this case, we are listening for successful payments. And if we click here, you can see that I'm listening on these events. So I'm listening for charge captures, charge successes, and customer creation events. And you can obviously customize this depending on your specific use case. You can also listen on charge failed, you know, charge customer deleted, etc., etc. And so this second workflow will be triggered anytime the user fills out that, you know, that payment form and their credit card is successfully charged. And here we can take the appropriate action because at this point we know that the customer has successfully paid for their digital good. And you're going to see everything when we do the whole flow. And this is very, very important. So when you finish creating your action, right, this first workflow here that you're going to be connecting to ChatGPT, you want to click on ship, and when it ships, you're going to have this export API. You definitely want to click on this right here. When you do that, you can export the actual workflow and then you can import that right into ChatGPT action editor here, okay? So let's go ahead and choose JSON here. We're going to export JSON. This here is what we've just exported. So you can simply copy all of this, go back into ChatGPT, and here you can simply create a new action. Once you do that, you're going to be on a screen that looks something like this. And here you can simply paste all this JSON code that you've just exported from BuildShip. And don't worry, for my amazing Patreon subscribers, I'm going to be making this JSON available so that you can easily create your own custom ChatGPT and simply import this so that you can hit the ground running even faster. And so once we have this here, you're going to see that this thing has available actions. And at this point, we only have one action there. This is this post create checkout link. And this is the path here. Okay, so now we can go back. You can also hit save here if you want. And once you finish configuring it, once you've uploaded your custom action, you can start testing it. You can actually start chatting with it using this preview pane. All right, so now we're going to run through the whole flow. We're going to ask it to generate a mockup for us. So let's say I click on this first option here. So I'm asking it to create a logo for a software company that makes fitness software. Okay, so this is a simple conversation starter here. And so it's creating an image for us now. Hopefully this is going to be a cool mock-up of an image on a t-shirt, just like what we've asked it to do. All right, so there you have it. This is a mock-up of a t-shirt with the image, right? So this is not the image by itself. It's on a t-shirt, and that way the user can look at it and decide, do they like the image? Do they want to pay for this image? And at this point, we have the next step. It's trying to connect to our custom action to generate the custom payment link. And there's something important that I want you guys to be aware of here. So if you click here, you can see that it's passing special information. Okay, it's saying generated image, and it's passing this ID. Now, this ID is unique to this generated image, because with DALL-E, you can generate new images, right? Which is kind of what people typically do. They say, well, I want an image for this. I want this kind of logo. I want this kind of image, etc., etc. But you can also ask DALL-E to give you the ID of the generated image. And then later on, you can ask DALL-E, hey, DALL-E, I don't want you to create a brand new image. I want you to create variations or simply recreate the image that you've done before. And because we are being passed this ID from ChatGPT to our action, knowing this ID will allow us to create this image, to essentially recreate this image by itself without the t-shirt, or create multiple variations of this image as well. And so this is very, very powerful. It's actually built into that workflow as I showed you, okay? Next, we're going to click on confirm, and now it's connecting to our workflow, to our BuildShip workflow, and it's going to kick off the whole workflow there. Okay, so it's starting the action. All right, and now it's telling us, great, your custom t-shirt with the fitness software company logo is ready. You can purchase it by following this payment link. Enjoy your new t-shirt. Okay, so if you click here, we are going to be redirected to a custom Stripe payment form. Okay, and this is a real payment form, except we are using a test mode. So with Stripe, every account has a production mode and a test mode. They're exactly the same, except with test mode, it's not going to be charging your credit card. And so you can enter some random digits, random numbers, but the whole flow, everything else will be exactly the same. And so if we jump back into our BuildShip here, we have the Stripe listener, and all we're doing is listening for events, and we are listening for the events in my account using my test mode. And here I'm specifying a Stripe secret that you can also obtain from your dashboard. And so whether you're using the production mode or the test mode, you're going to be seeing various secrets, right? You can simply search for APIs in your Stripe dashboard, check out their documentation, and once you find the secret, you can simply specify it here. And this way, this webhook will know what events to listen to, right? It's going to be listening on my test events. It's not going to be listening on my production events. And so with the Stripe webhook listening for various events that we specified here, we can go back to this payment form and we can fill it out as though we are a real customer that's paying for this digital product. And once we click this button, that workflow will be triggered and we are going to be seeing various events coming in. All right, so I went ahead and filled out this payment form. I gave it an email. I gave it some, fake card information, card holder name, country, zip code. And now when I click on pay, we're going to get notified that the user has successfully paid for the product. And we should do something such as email the product or contact the user, etc., etc. And so now if we hop over to BuildShip and we open up this logging panel, we should see another logging message here when we click pay. So I'm going to click on pay and now it's successful. Okay. And now we have been redirected back to BuildShip, and this is something that you can customize. Okay, you can specify which page you want your users to be redirected to. unsuccessful payments. So that is something that's very, very easy to do. And now let's jump back into BuildShip. And here you can see another success message. And if you expand it, you're going to see that we have access to everything. So this is the amount captured, $5. We scroll down, we have the address, we have US, we have the zip code, we have the email, we have the name, the phone was not specified, so the phone is not there. And so at this point, knowing that the customer has successfully purchased the digital asset and having all the customer's information, we can take the next steps, right? We can have another note here that sends an email using SendGrid or using Gmail, and we can tell the customer, hey, thank you so much for purchasing the digital asset. We have created a high definition version of your original image, of your original mockup, or we have created 4 different variations that you can take a look at, or here's something else, or here's something else. The bottom line is we know that the customer has successfully purchased the image, and we also have the customer's information. And that is why this flow is super powerful. And you can create it using these custom GPTs and BuildShip. And obviously, this is just the beginning. You can create all kinds of interesting custom GPTs. You can combine them with BuildShip to add more functionalities, right? Whether it is to, creating a custom payment link or checking whether the orders are successful or not. You can do all kinds of interesting things using the power of custom GPTs and custom actions that we have here. And remember, if you're a member of our amazing Patreon community, you're going to get access to everything that I talked about here. And so if you're looking to duplicate this functionality, you are looking to build your own customized GPT, you're looking to integrate it with this amazing tool called BuildShip via custom actions, or you're looking to do something similar, but you're still not sure what exactly that you want to do, you will find all of these resources super, super valuable. Plus, when you join our amazing Patreon community, you're going to get access to all my no-code apps, and there's like over 150, 160 of them by now. They're all available. They do all kinds of different things. So regardless what kind of app that you're looking to build, regardless if you're just a beginner that's just starting out, or you're intermediate, or you have some experience under your belt, none of that really matters, because at the end of the day, you're going to find something that's going to provide you with value. And that's not all. Our Patreon members also get access to more amazing content. So things like Q&As, live streams, behind the scenes content, as well as our Patreon supported masterclass series, where I do a deep dive on a specific topic that the community wants to know more about. And in fact, recently I did a comprehensive Q&A. I also did a comprehensive deep dive on BuildShip. And so if you're looking to use BuildShip, you're going to get a ton of value from that deep dive alone. And plus, when you join our amazing Patreon community, rapidly growing Patreon community, you're going to be supporting this channel and supporting my work, and that is greatly, greatly appreciated. And so if I've ever provided you with any level of value, if you learned something from my videos, or you were able to build an app that did something great and help users and maybe made you some money, then you should definitely check out our amazing Patreon community and consider becoming a member. And you can do just that via the link in the description below the video.